Erin, welcome to the Onward podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me, Emily.
Sure. You're the executive director. You've been the executive director for 12 years of Our Own Charlottesville, and it's a peer-led recovery center. I had never heard anything about them until my neighbor introduced me to you. So I'm really looking forward to this interview and learning more about On Our Own, and what you do. So
Yeah, thank you. I actually worked at On Our Own for the first 4 years as a peer recovery specialist, and then 4 years in, I became executive director. So I was lucky enough to have worked for 4 years before becoming the executive director. So I got firsthand, sorry,
that's okay.
Of what it was like to work there and what it was like to, when you work somewhere and you're like, oh, I would do this, this, and this if I had, if I could change anything. I got to do that, but I didn't actually think I would become the executive director.
Wow.
It sort of fell into my lap. And so it's been trial by learning, and it's been really wonderful. But a peer-run organization, let me see if this little guy will go down.
What kind of dog do you have?
Oh, I actually have two. So this is Cyrus, and Cyrus is a Chessie mix.
Hi, Cyrus.
This is Cyrus, and he's a rescue from Dogs Deserve Better. So he was tied up for a couple years of his life. And now he has free roam, and he loves to get into lots of things. And then right over here, I have Sophie. She's right above me, but she's also beside me, and she's a big Neapolitan Mastiff.
Oh my
and she's
God,
also
big.
a rescue.
Let me show you mine. Hold on.
Okay, great.
Pearl. Hold on.
Okay.
I couldn't find her, but I don't even have that big of a spot. This is Pearl.
Oh, so cute. Hi, Pearl.
She would like to nip at your Mastiff's ankles.
Here's Sophie. Let's see. Here's Sophie. Look. Can you see?
Hi, Sophie. My sister has a Mastiff.
They're so much fun, but they're very busy.
Carl says, hello, ladies. Getting set for a great conversation, Emily Harmon. Good. Thanks for being here, Carl. So tell us what On Our Own is all about.
Okay, great. So On Our Own is a peer recovery center, and so everyone that works at On Our Own has lived experience with mental health challenges. That could be from depression. That could be from any type of mood challenge. It might be from substance use challenge. It could be from anything. It could be from both. So for instance, for me personally, I'm in recovery from substance abuse, and I'm also in recovery for generalized anxiety challenges. And well, I can get into that a little later, but everyone that works there is in recovery. And so we provide free services to the community, to anyone in our area, or even outside of our area. So now that we're all, we're doing everything virtual. By Zoom, virtual. We actually have people that are joining us from other areas as well. So we provide, we're all trained, we're all certified by the state, and we're trained to give back and offer the support that we needed when we were first in recovery to the people who need it now.
That's amazing. What's the training like? Like how long? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the state certification is 70. It's a 72-hour class, but then you have to have 500 credit hours of work or volunteer hours of direct peer support. And then you apply to the state once you get, once you have your supervisor sign off on that and you've taken the course. And then you have to take a state exam. And then once you take the state exam and you pass, you become certified. And then we have to get recertification every 2 years. And that entails 20 hours of continuing education units. So
do you have to have been in recovery for a certain amount of time?
Yes. So it's at least a year. Some places require 2 years, depending on the organization. So our organization requires at least a year, excuse me, of abstinence. If you're in substance use recovery, and a year out of the hospital if you're in, or a year of not having any, you don't have to have gone to the hospital, but of basically doing really well in your life.
So are there these kinds of recovery services all in every state, like peer-led?
Every state that I've heard of, they have peer-led organizations. There might be some states that are less populated that don't have them. But most states, that I know about or have been to, have peer-run services. Some states are far ahead of Virginia, and some states are just getting started, and it's not streamlined. So up until about 5 years ago, you didn't have to have, there was no certification in the state of Virginia. So you didn't have to
help other people. Wow.
No, we didn't have a certification process. So people with lived experience were just helping other people. Sort of like in 12-step, people talk about sponsorship, they don't have any training necessarily, right? So It was similar to that. But we really wanted to become, because what we do is important, and it's evidence-based. SAMHSA has said peer support is an evidence-based practice. So how do we prove that? Well, we need to get certification to make sure that everyone in the state of Virginia is taking the same training, that we all know the same information, the same material. It's being updated constantly, of course. But so about 5 years, maybe 6 years ago, 7 years ago, they started doing the actual started the process of streamlining it. And so they asked 17 people in the state, and I was lucky to be one of those people, to give input on what the manual should comprise, what the training should comprise. And so for about 18 months, I would get chapters at a time, and I would edit it, send it back. And then finally, the Office of Recovery Support in Richmond at the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services came up with the training.
So why would somebody go to a peer-led organization versus through their healthcare? And I don't know if you're covered by healthcare, and through your healthcare and through like a regular psychiatrist or psychologist or counselor? I'm just curious, like how do people make those decisions?
Well, a couple things. We have really good partnerships with our traditional, we say traditional mental health providers in our area. We are non-traditional in that we don't exactly subscribe to the medical model, but I think that we are complementary to the services that, say, Region 10 or the Women's Initiative or private providers provide. So they would come to us for a couple reasons. One, they want somebody who they know has been through it, and we can offer an instant rapport with them. Two, we're free. Three, there's no waiting lists. We don't ask you for any insurance information, nothing like that. So they might choose to come to us because they had trust issues in the past, or they, are afraid to go to a private provider, or they might come to us as a complement to their provider. So,
okay, got it. Wow, we've got somebody from Pakistan. Oh,
wonderful. Hello.
Imtiaz, I think, and then DJ, happy to be here and listen. Thank you guys. We're happy that you're here, and Carl's here too. So thank you for watching, and please post any questions. And when I see them, I'll make sure that we get them answered. So glad you guys are here. Yeah, I find that with coaching too, like when I go and invest in a coach, I want to invest in a coach that has done what I want to do and been through it themselves. And they could be like a step or two ahead of me, but it's just, I think that the rapport there is good. I mean, I can think back on times when I took my daughter, and it's not something that she would be ashamed for me to say, because, she's been on my podcast talking about her anxiety. I've taken her to counselors before, but if they haven't had anxiety, they don't get it.
Yes.
They know what they've read in the book, but they haven't had anxiety and they don't get it as much. Or if they haven't been through something that you've been through, they just don't quite get it as much. And then, or even somebody helping somebody recover from alcoholism. My son, I've said before, he's been on my podcast, he's 4.5 years sober. And, I think he does well working with people who have been through it as well and can help him out. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Facebook user says, great work, Erin. I don't know if that's Deborah or who that is. Because
I love Deborah.
Yeah, it's probably Deborah.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's so I alluded earlier to having anxiety, and when I was about 10 years clean of from addiction challenges, I had my son, and immediately after my son was born, I had heard of postpartum depression, but no one had told me about postpartum anxiety. I didn't know it even existed.
I hadn't heard of that either.
Yeah, I had no idea, but I started becoming so anxious that I was actually hearing things. I was obsessed with the fact that somebody was going to break in my house and steal my baby. I couldn't go shopping because I thought everyone was abusing children. It was like, to the point, my anxiety was so bad that my ex-husband, who at the time was my husband, and still a wonderful father, by the way, just want to say that, he would get somebody to stay with me at night if he had to leave to go to a meeting or something. Because my anxiety was so high. And we lived in Lake Monticello, like gated community.
Yeah. Well, anxiety doesn't make sense. I talked about that with my daughter. That there's not, someone out there that's going to take your child. I mean, that at one level, but at another level, you don't. So I understand. It's in that episode, anyone who wants to go back and listen to it, is with Chanel Williams and Anna Wilhelm. Anna is my daughter, and they were talking about, it's one of the earlier ones, probably from August of 2019.
Okay.
They were talking about what it's like to live with anxiety. And they're like, Anna said, if I could just take a break from my head, I would love to. And they were talking about how they know it's hard on friends and loved ones, to live with somebody with anxiety like that.
It is. And it's it's hard to be there, and it's hard to,
Yeah.
Definitely. My daughter also struggles with anxiety. And so I've been there many nights on the phone with her when she was just she's like, Mom, I'm so scared. I can't breathe right now. So it's really challenging. Yes,
Shout out to wonderful fathers. Yes.
my son has the best dad. I swear, he's wonderful, wonderful guy. So yes, definitely. And he stays with me for 1 week and my ex for 1 week. So so yeah, great dad.
That's awesome. You're really fortunate.
Very fortunate, and he's
Mhm.
so supportive. We talk all the time, so he's very supportive. Um, but the culmination, so for 2 years I was in this space that literally, it was just, I was anxious all the time. And what ended up happening is I called the police because I was sure somebody was breaking in, and I'm huddled in the bedroom with my 2-year-old, like just terrified. And the police come in with their weapons drawn, searching my house, and there's nobody there, but I knew I heard the voices. So I finally went to the free clinic. Shout out to the free clinic, because at the time my husband and my son had insurance, but I was not eligible under his policy. So that was 13 years ago, but things have changed now. But I went to the free clinic and I saw a psychiatrist, and she said, "Why did you wait 2 years?" And I said, "I thought this is how it was going to be forever. Like, I thought I could do it." And she
Aw.
said, "No, no, no." And she told me about it, and she put me on a medication, an antidepressant, and within 3 days it had dissipated. So for
Oh
me,
man.
that was huge in my recovery.
Mhm.
It doesn't work for everyone, but for me, it really did work.
Yeah. So how many people does your peer-led recovery service, how many people do you see, and what's the volume, and has it gotten worse during COVID or more
It,
people?
yes,
Oh, wait,
definitely.
wait, wait, we have one question. How does one find, how does one find those peer-run support groups?
That's a good question. So in Virginia, we have Vocal, which is the statewide umbrella agency, vocalvirginia.org. And if you go to vocalvirginia.org, you can find all of the peer supports in the state of Virginia. But if you go on Facebook to there's like the Peer Recovery Connection, I think you can find them in other states as well. So whatever state you're in, if you just write in Peer Recovery Center, PRO, or something like that, you should be able to find them state by state.
So that's the vocalvirginia.org.
That's right.
Too, yeah. Okay.
And so they're sort of our umbrella agency, and they help all of the peer runs with different things like board training and things like that. So
Okay.
So how many people, you asked? So
Yeah.
on a daily basis, we are supporting 65 people, 65 members. And that means we call people every day. Ever since COVID, we have staff that are assigned to calling people every day. We have groups every day that people can join. Anyone can join as long as you're 18 or older. We also have our partnerships, and so altogether we support about 150 people with our partnerships included. So
that's a lot. Has it gotten more during COVID? More?
It has. We've grown during COVID. When we started out, when COVID, we usually had 20 to 50 people in every day when we had our house opened. But when we went to virtual, we've gone, up to, like I said, we're supporting 65, sometimes more, depending on, what people need. Sometimes they just need to connect with people and just make, just say, "Hey, I'm having a hard time."
I agree, DJ. break the stigma, don't judge. Yep, mental health matters. I agree with all of that. Mental health awareness. I mean, it's like, actually, I'll be honest, I'll say, because on the last episode that I did, I said something like, since I retired, I went off my depression medicine. But then the other day, I just thought, I just feel like I need it. And I mentioned it, I don't know if my mom's watching, but I mentioned it to my mom, and she's like, you don't need it. And I just thought to myself, if I had a friggin' head wound, was gushing blood, nobody would say you don't need a Band-Aid. So you can't see the mental health stuff. And that's why I think people judge. And I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying, she's, she was trying to be helpful. She probably didn't want to think that her daughter needs something. But it's like, you can't look at somebody and tell, and if you need it, you need it.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
It's like, she gets migraines sometimes. Okay, do you want me to say, well, you don't need your migraine headache medicine? I can't see that you have a headache.
Right.
So thank you for an important conversation. Good. Number 1 in 4. I don't know what that means, but
so
you might.
1 in 4 people will be diagnosed with a mental health challenge in every year. I think that's probably what DJ is talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very we're going to 1 in 4 people will experience a mental health challenge. And talking about breaking the stigma, I really try to say mental health challenge or mental health condition. Sorry, my dog is knocking my table.
Okay.
Instead of mental illness, because this is an illness, makes it, to me anyway, it feels like I need, I'm a patient, I need, and with mental health challenge or condition or, it to me anyway, it feels more like, I can get better. I have hope that I can get better.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't feel like I am always going to be in this place. Now, I might have a relapse and go back to having the anxiety, or even with medication. I mean, addiction. But I know that I can always get back to where I was.
Right. Yeah, I mean, a relapse is kind of normal, right? Or not normal, but it's not unheard of.
It's not
Connecting and being validated is so powerful. Yeah, it really is. And sharing your story is really powerful too, because it helps others realize they're not alone and they can share their story too.
That's right.
And help other people. So that's awesome what you guys are doing. Have you, if you need more so the funding comes from the state?
We get just a very small portion of our funding from the state. Most of the funding we get comes from grants. We apply for lots of grants. We are lucky to have wonderful partnerships. So we have a partnership with Region 10. We have a partnership with Offender Aid and Restoration. We have a partnership with Western State Hospital, and so we actually have 2 with Region 10, and so we do get paid for providing peer support services to those organizations. That helps a lot. We also, as I mentioned to you earlier, we have a thrift store, Uplift Thrift, and all of the proceeds from Uplift Thrift come to On Our Own. And we also have private donors, people that will donate to us, foundations, and we're always writing those grants and trying to get those fundraisers out and
Charlottesville's a pretty good area to have a thrift store. I mean, I'm just saying because there's a lot of people there that make some money. So maybe you have some really nice stuff that's sold at your thrift store. I should go check it out.
Oh, please do. It's amazing that the community has supported us hugely, and shout out to like Twice as Nice and Rethreads, who have been wonderful to us, and everyone's just so supportive. It's such a giving community, a loving community. I know we have our challenges, like any other community, but we really appreciate all the support we get. And I also want to say the Mental Health and Wellness Coalition is doing some wonderful work, and we're involved in that. We're doing some wonderful work around anti-racism, around mental health stigma, around overdose prevention, opioid prevention. So there's quite a lot going on in Charlottesville, and I feel really really grateful when I go to meetings with my fellow folks from rural communities and other places in the state. They don't have the support that we have in Charlottesville. So we are lucky for that.
Acknowledgement is hard for ourselves or in others that we love. So has the heroin epidemic in Virginia gotten worse due to COVID?
The opioid epidemic is really, it's really, really challenging right now, especially. In fact, within the last couple of weeks, we've lost 4 people our community has lost 4 people, young people to fentanyl laced pills, and Richmond lost 6 people with the same bad batch of pills that are coming through that are laced with the fentanyl and carfentanil, and it's really scary. You never know what's in drugs anymore. Luckily when I was, I'm like, oh, when I used to,
when I did it back then,
you at least knew that, you weren't gonna, they didn't have that kind of stuff 20 years ago. And so it's really scary for the folks. Right.
I've interviewed a few moms, quite a few on this podcast who have lost their kids to heroin. In fact, or fentanyl, or, one mom lost 2 of her 3 sons.
Oh.
And and I used to, when my son was doing drugs, some friends and I got together. We said, our kids are going to hang out. We're going to hang out. And we created this organization called Parents Affected by Addiction. And we would meet once a month and help out other parents, because it's so hard when you're going through it. It was kind of like a peer-led support group, I guess. and volunteers, but we were just helping them. What's enabling? What's not? What should you do? What should I do? What should I expect? There's just so much that you go through when your kid or a loved one is addicted to drugs, and you just don't know what to do, and you want to fix the situation and you can't, and it's hard to realize that.
Yeah, and I think it was DJ was saying is
and she said, I think fantastic community, which it is. It sounds like it, yeah.
And the connection piece, I was just thinking, and then I'll answer that question there. Mm-hmm. But I just wanted to say, with the isolation piece, not only is addiction becoming more prevalent, or the relapse rates becoming more prevalent, but also suicide rates. And happened to have lost one of our dear members, 30 years old, and he took his life, and we miss him dearly. And his family started a foundation, the Luke J. Raymond Foundation, and they're working really hard to talk about suicide and talk about suicide prevention. And so I just wanted to mention that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
They're
it's
too young.
yeah.
Yeah.
But someone asked about what advice would you give? Well, so there are a few new startup peer-run organizations. Unfortunately, the state no longer has the money to help start up new foundations like they did 30 years ago when On Our Own started. So it is more challenging. Uh, However, it is possible. We 5 years ago, we received a grant from SAMHSA to write a book about how to start a peer-run program, and it is available on Amazon, eBay. Our two of our board members wrote the book, and um, it's called uh, whatever it takes, more at On Our Own 25 years of peer practice. And I can find that for you and send it out to you too, Emily, uh, if you can't
Okay.
find it now. But
Is it on your website, do you think?
it might very well be on the website. It should be. But anyway, it goes through from beginning, like from the conception of On Our Own 30 years ago to for the first 25 years, and how to start one, how to strengthen one. And it has like our bylaws, it has our guidelines, it has everything. And it's a really great book if somebody is interested in starting a peer-run organization. The funding is challenging. I'm hoping that the mental health block grants will get larger. It changes from administration to administration, so it's possible that we get more money slated for mental health. I just don't know yet.
I was looking at all your programs on the website, like wellness recovery, peer support, goals group, anger management, assertiveness, anxiety, smart recovery. So many ones, mindfulness, meditation, feeling good from the inside out. And then you've got like recovery through art, through music, and writing group. It sounds like an awesome place.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. I really miss being in person, because when you would walk in the door, it's one of those places where everybody just knows you and you get lots of hugs and lots of, yeah, it is. It's a wonderful place. And some people, they don't get hugged, and that's why COVID has been so hard. And so, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It has been really challenging to lose people and not to be able to come together to mourn.
Yeah.
That's the other hard thing is, and I know that you all have talked about that as well, but not being able to grieve together. And we get together and do Zoom meetings, but it's not quite
Not
the same.
I get my hugs from my dog, and that's about it. And
Yeah.
if I didn't have a dog, it would be really hard.
Yeah.
Being single through all this.
It is. Yeah, you're right. And my 13-year-old doesn't want to hug that much anymore.
Yeah.
He'll let me sometimes, but
I hugged my grandson this weekend. He's 4.5. That was nice.
Oh, that's great. That's a good age. That's a nice snuggle age.
He always says, I have a good idea. That's what he says all the time. I'm like, I love that confidence. I have a good idea. I'm like, Marshall, you always have a good idea.
Wonderful. Reminds me of when my son was young. He said, yeah, SAMHSA is amazing. My son said, I'm really strong. And I said, yes, you are strong. And he said, and I'm amazing too.
Wow. Isn't that awesome?
Like, yeah.
What happens is when we get to be adults, we don't think that way.
I know.
We lose that. We've just got to remember how amazing we really are.
We are. We all are. Yeah.
Yeah. And to make it through COVID, and just everything that you guys are doing. It's amazing.
It is.
So,
It is. Very
so
resource rich.
yeah. So I put your website on our own Charlottesville, and I was just in Charlottesville today, and I didn't go by. Oh well. And then here, so if people want that, on our own Cville.org, and then there's your Uplift thrift store.
Yep.
So
come on and see us. Uplift is open and in business. Although tomorrow I think we're gonna have bad weather, so we might not open tomorrow. But
I think we'll open tomorrow.
Yeah. But we do have 2 pantry days at On Our Own, 2 pantry days a week. I just wanted to mention, if people need food, if they need masks, if they need whatever they need, we're open on Tuesdays and Fridays from 2 to 5, and people can come get their mail. They can come, whatever it is that they need. So, so we're not completely shut down.
That's awesome. All right. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Bernard said, nice. Yeah. Anyone have any questions before we wrap it up?
And join our groups. Come to our groups. You're welcome to, everyone.
Yeah. And so they just go to your website and find the group, and you don't have to live in Virginia to participate in the Zoom call, right?
Nope, you just click on it. The only group we ask you to get in touch with us first is the anxiety group, just because there are people that are struggling with anxiety and they want to know who's going to be attending. So all the other groups are open to everyone. Yes, pets, dogs, all of our wonderful dogs.
Yeah, my dog's sitting over on the couch like, oh, how much longer are you going to be staring at that screen?
Mine are behaving pretty well right now.
Well, thanks to the dog lovers out there that's supporting us, bringing our dogs on camera.
Definitely. Right. Thank you.
Erin, thank you so much for everything that you do. That's awesome, the work that you do. You're supporting so many people. And
we have
pets and birds. I don't have a bird, but pets, yeah.
Yeah, pets and birds. And we have such a great staff. I just want to give a shout out to our staff. Wonderful, wonderful. So, that's so neat. They know each other.
They must know each other. Someone else says, I love seeing you so happy, Emily. Rock on. Someone else says, pets are so very necessary. Cats especially. That must be Deborah. Yeah.
I love Deborah. Hi, Deborah. I'm glad she introduced us.
Yes, me too. Thank you very much, Erin. And I'll let you know when I get your episode published on Apple Podcasts and stuff too. It'll be another month or so, but
wonderful. Again for everything.
All right. Thank you everybody for watching. Have a great night.
Thank you.
I'm going to end it, but you'll still be there and we can chat after I end it. Okay. After I end.